We all know that a really huge story for 2017 was Rockwell Collins purchases BE Aerospace. So we've all been quite eager to hear more about that and the integration, how it's all going along. Joel Otto is here with us from Rockwell Collins. And I just want to ask you right off the bat, where are things right now in terms of the long-term BE integration plan?
Yeah, things are progressing really well along what we talked about. If you remember when we acquired BE, a lot of the value proposition is around efficiencies that we can gain from the supply chain and manufacturing and things like that. That's all progressing really, really well. The other thing that we looked at was what the potential future would come around a connected cabin kind of solution that we could jointly bring to the market, because between what we have in our former avionics business with the networking capabilities on board the aircraft and the ability to manage information on the airplane, our information management services business that can deliver that between the aircraft and the ground and the airline back offices, and now the new interior capabilities of the former BE, what we call now interior systems. We see a lot of opportunities between all those domains to bring new value to our customers with some new and innovative solutions.
So that was actually going to be my next question. I feel like we're halfway into that. Is there a category that's emerged as the first to benefit? I heard supply chain in there, and I heard what sounds like IoT. Would you like to talk about?
Well, maybe the first thing that I'll talk about is actually in another segment, the VVIP segment. We've actually put together some bundled solutions between our venue cabin solution, our Global Express and Swift Broadband connectivity services, and the interiors for VVIP and VIP type aircraft.
Right. So
that was the first thing, and that's kind of a mix between commercial aviation aircraft, but business aviation solutions. Beyond that, we see a lot of opportunities in the commercial cabins, the airline cabin space. With a lot of the interior solutions today, they stand alone. They're not really connected into much of the airplane. And we see a lot of opportunities, not only from just the ability to maintain that equipment and do a better job of understanding how they're performing and working, connect that information to the ground so the airline can take that information and be prepared to turn the aircraft or effect any repairs. That's kind of the first one. And then beyond that, we see a lot of opportunities for those systems to engage with the cabin crew and the customer, the passenger, to figure out how to deliver better value for the passenger and create a better passenger experience and tie that all together into the airplane.
How far do you think we are from maturity on any solutions like this?
That's a question we're still trying to wrestle with as part of the integration, trying to figure out when is the right time to bring some of those things into the market. You also have to get enough of the aircraft outfitted and equipped to make it make sense to be able to critical mass essentially, and we're not quite there yet in the industry. But we certainly are headed that direction with the adoption rate you see of in-flight connectivity and broadband connectivity. It's going to come, and so your Internet of Things question is right along that. I mean, that's essentially what we're talking about there.
Okay, and then with the integration of two companies that are so large, are there any areas where you see a bit of a duplication of resource that might require some rejigging?
Really, there weren't any significant overlaps between the two companies at all. That was one of the real value equations in the whole acquisition. Was we don't see much overlap between what BE did and what Heritage Rockwell Collins was able to do. So really, you can put those pieces together, and we don't see any of the duplication where we might have to get rid of parts of the equipment or integrate product lines, because we have two competing product lines going to the market. So we really didn't have any of that market confusion that could result. We chose well. We feel really good about that.
Good. Okay, we talked about IoT already. A little while ago, Rockwell Collins sort of pulled out of the embedded in-seat IFE market. And now that you have access, I think, to more R&D on the seating side and, just more tentacles there in the cabin, is that something that maybe we might see again in the future?
At this time, we have no plans to go back into the embedded IFE. we think our course is best served with an agnostic approach. So we know embedded IFE is going to be around in at least long-range aircraft, but across many of the fleet for a long time to come.
Yeah.
And for us, we've always been an agnostic connectivity service provider, and we felt with our cabin and interiors products having to work with all of the embedded IFE suppliers, and our connectivity services also having to be agnostic, that's really a good position for us to be, rather than have our own competing embedded IFE solution.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. And then just finally, is there a specific industry trend outside of the stuff that we've already been discussing that you really got your eyes on right now?
I think of it really in a couple different directions. One is, I think, something that the industry has to really think about of a trend in terms of broadband connectivity and the potential that it offers, which is great, but there's a lot of people that want to make it just real easy to do a lot of things very quickly. And in the aviation industry, there are some things that you need to keep in mind in terms of the aircraft have to dispatch on time. You need to have a certain level of reliability. There's aviation specific things that need to happen to keep an airline running.
Can't forget it's a plane.
Can't forget it's a plane, and you can't forget that they're working in a scheduled operation, and it's global, and it's 24/7, 365, and if any part of that network goes down or stops talking to the airplane, between the airplane and the back office, an airline stops operating, or at least that airplane can stop operating. Or delay it or cause problems for that. So that's one thing I see. I think the other trend that I look at that we just keep our eyes on is what's going on with all of the consumer-based application services, content, the types of things that are happening today in our homes and in our offices and other things, and then how are those going to translate themselves onto the airplane? Clearly, you and I, as flying passengers, want to do the same things we do at home or in our office on the airplane, or as much as we can, and stay connected. So what's that? That's all moving very quickly. So how do we move with it?
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Joel. It's been
welcome.
Very fun.